Argofunk Book Review, Argofunk Book Review. Around the World in 80 Days is a classic adventure novel written in 1873. It's an international bestseller. It's never gone out of print. It's popular and well-loved even today. I don't quite understand why I did not like reading this book. I could appreciate that Jules Verne is a great author and the premise of the book is really good, but it was not enjoyable to me. The main character is a rich British gentleman named Phileas Fogg who's almost robotic. He loves doing the same things every day to an obsessive degree. When we first meet him, he fires his servant for giving him shaving water, which is 2 degrees colder than it should be. So he's an eccentric main character. That should work with the premise. We have a grand adventure with a rich eccentric. But I found him to be a flat, boring character. Fogg never shows any emotion, and he only talks when he has to. He spends most of the book sitting blank-faced, saying nothing, playing with cards. He has no personality, and I'm not entirely sure what his motivation is. By all accounts, he should have stayed home and done nothing. That's clearly what he prefers to do, and he does as little as possible during the adventure. I guess I'm trying to say I didn't like the main character, and that ruined the book for me. The story does not work with the stoic lead. Fogg's new servant is a Frenchman named Passepartout. Passepartout is very lively, he occasionally gets into trouble, and there are humorous scenes where he is shocked by Fogg's single-minded determination. Fogg is there when some gentlemen discuss a bank robbery. They wonder how quickly the thief can escape, when Fogg says, "You can now travel the world in 80 days, thanks to new trains that travel across India and the United States. One man says that's impossible. Bad weather would almost certainly eat up travel time, as 70% of the journey is done on steamships. That's another problem with this book. It's a really neat idea to travel all over the world in relative comfort using the newest technology. But the vast majority of the trip is on a ship or a train. Interesting stories can certainly happen on trains and ships, but all of Fogg's adventures happen when he's not traveling. So the book skips over most of his journey. We see nothing of his trip across Europe, and the 22 days across the Pacific Ocean are 1 chapter. And indeed, the book more or less has to skip over those parts because all Fogg does is sit in his room for days on end. It's ironic that the big travel book is most interesting when Fogg doesn't travel. When something gets in his way and forces a delay, that's when Fogg actually does things, and there's actual stakes in the adventure. So I like those parts best. Fogg believes the accidents and delays are built into the 80-day estimate. He and the gentleman make a 20,000-pound bet that he can travel the entire world in 80 days. Fogg leaves almost immediately with no planning. He and Passepartout depart on a train with a small luggage bag and 20,000 pounds. The book skips ahead to when they arrive at the Suez Canal. A detective Fix mistakes Fogg for the bank robber. He sends a message to London asking for a warrant for Fogg's arrest. The warrant never shows up on time. Fix spends the entire book chasing after Fogg and trying to delay him so the warrant can arrive. Fix is an interesting enough antagonist, although he's kind of dumb. He never talks to Fogg. He could confront Fogg here at the start and clear everything up, but he doesn't. He talks to Passepartout several times. He humorously misunderstands everything that gets said. They arrive in India 2 days early, but that time is lost when it turns out 50 miles of the railroad isn't completed. Fogg is forced to buy an elephant and a guide to make the journey. Along the way, they see a group of natives preparing a human sacrifice. They're going to kill a woman whose old husband just died. Our heroes break into the native camp and save the woman. I didn't quite understand how the rescue worked. They make the natives think the dead Raja is still alive. I'm not sure if Passepartout had a disguise, or if he stole the dead man's clothes and impersonated him, or if he moved the corpse around like a puppet. Those are all gross possibilities. The woman is Aouda. She is incredibly gorgeous and falls in love with Fogg immediately. Fogg doesn't really care because he never cares about anything. He lets her come along with them to Hong Kong, where she has relatives. Her relatives have moved, and he agrees to let her come with them to Europe, where she has other relatives. Passepartout accidentally breaks the law by walking into an Indian temple. Fix has them arrested and brought before a judge, hoping that they'll be sent to jail for a week. Fogg pays a £2,000 bail and leaves immediately. The group is broken up on the ship to Japan, where Fix waylays Passepartout in an opium den, forcing Fogg to miss the steamship. Without any concern, Fogg charters a smaller boat to intercept the first ship at Shanghai. Passepartout, on his part, is forced to make a living in a long-nosed Japanese circus until he's reunited with Fogg. They catch a steamship to America. In San Francisco, they get caught in a mob fighting over a local election. A Colonel Proctor punches Fogg, and honestly, I'm not sure why. I think he's just mad that Fogg was standing in his way, even though Fogg was clearly trying to leave the area and catch the next train. They go through Mormon territory, where they get a long lecture on Mormonism and polygamy. A fair amount of this book is a travelogue in that vein. Sometimes it's interesting, sometimes it's racist, and sometimes it's laughably outdated, like when they have to explain what a mango is, because obviously no one knows what mangoes are. I'm sure many of the book's original readers enjoyed learning about foreign lands and cultures through this novel. Proctor appears on the train, and he provokes Fogg into challenging him to a duel. I don't think it's a good idea to kill a stranger just because they block the road in front of you one time. The duel is interrupted when Native Americans attack a train. Passepartout is taken as a hostage. Fogg gathers a group of soldiers and mounts a rescue mission. Disappointingly, the book mostly skips over the rescue mission to describe what's going on at the train station. Because clearly a life and death rescue mission is not as interesting as train departure times. The rescue mission loses Fogg a day. They're forced to take a sledge with a sail to the next major station. They take alternate trains to New York, but arrive too late by 3/4 of an hour. Unmoved, Fogg gets passage on a boat going to Bordeaux. He pays the crew to mutiny and go to England instead. He saves 12 hours by going through Ireland. At this point, Fix finally arrests Fogg. Fogg is released when his innocence is proven, but it's too late. He loses the bet by 5 minutes. Fogg punches Fix in the face. The book notes this is the only time in Fogg's life that he moved quickly. I guess he didn't move quickly during the duel to the death. Fogg resumes his old life. He apologizes to Ouda for inconveniencing her. She asks him to marry her. He closes his eyes for a moment and declares he loves her with all his heart. The book says the marriage makes him the happiest man in the world, but I cannot believe that. He's only talked to her, once or twice? He's shown no interest in her at all. You can't marry them off at the end and pretend it's a grand romance. The book would have been amazing if it had been a grand romance. That would have been great. When they go to get a priest, they're shocked to learn it's not Sunday, it's Saturday. Thanks to time zones, they gained an extra day during their trip. That means Fogg arrived on time, and he wins the bet. He only gains £1,000 since he spent £19,000 during the trip. The Indian Railway is completed during their trip, meaning they can make the same journey 2 days faster. Fogg decides not to do so. The book ends there. The twist at the end of the book is really good, but like I said, I didn't enjoy the book. I found Fogg to be a boring, uninteresting lead. He doesn't do much besides throw money at people to let him keep going on his way so he can win the bet. I still have no idea why he wants to travel the world so quickly. He clearly doesn't enjoy it. I shouldn't say it's a bad book because it has a good premise and millions of people love it, even if it's super old-fashioned nowadays. It's just not the book for me. I tried to enjoy it, but I could never get into it. I don't know. Maybe I would like a movie adaptation where Fogg has more of a personality. I give Around the World in 80 Days a thumbs down.